Chris the Nightmare Ariel, and you're watching Mission Boxing Today on YouTube.
Heavyweight boxing fans, what's the deal? All right, so few fans that I've ran into, and this is, man, I've had a few fans say this to me pretty much every time I make a Wladimir Klitschko video. I've heard a few fans say this to me. And I ran into a fan the other day. I forgot the person's name, but it was on somebody else's comment section. And that fan was saying that when I bring up Klitschko versus Wilder and some of the other guys who I think can beat Klitschko at this stage of his career, they say I'm not technical enough. I don't give a thorough technical analysis of the fight. All right. Which is crazy because I've done it so many times. It's just every video I'm not going to go over the same technical stuff. Sometimes I just briefly touch on some things and then I'll move on. All right, now before I get to all that, like I do with every video of Wladimir, I respect Wladimir Klitschko. When people were calling the division boring and they don't watch it and all that, I was still watching it. I mean, if you guys have been following me since my first channel, 2010, I've always talked about the heavyweights. I mean, I was making heavyweight videos, only 60, 80 views next to them because people didn't want to hear about the Klitschkos, but I was still making videos, so on and so forth. Just put it like this, man. I've been watching the Klitschko brothers ever since they started getting televised in the U.S. nationally. So HBO, early 2000s, I've been watching, Wladimir and Vitaly Klitschko fight. All right. I respect what Wladimir has done with his reign. You got to include Vitaly too, but I respect everything about those guys. Although I will rate, if I had to pick, I would pick Vitaly over Wladimir, but that's just me and my preference, okay? I understand the history. I understand the 18 straight successful title defenses. The numbers behind Wladimir Klitschko rival the numbers of Larry Holmes and Ali and Joe Louis. I get it, all right? Now we got that out the way. People often say, well, you think that Joshua, Wilder, and Ortiz and Fury can easily beat Klitschko. I never said they can easily beat Klitschko, okay? Let's not put words in my mouth, y'all. I never said that. I never said they can easily beat Wladimir Klitschko. I just said I think those four can beat him. Well, Fury has already done it, okay? It's been 10 years, man, since I've actually picked another fighter to beat Wladimir Klitschko. Even when the first Tyson Fury fight, I picked Klitschko. I just thought Klitschko was the better fighter, and I didn't think Tyson Fury had the firepower to keep Wladimir off of him. What I did underestimate was Fury's movement and mobility, but I thought Wladimir would be able to cut the ring off on him and start to land some right hands and left hooks and make Fury fight, getting him off balance, getting him against the ropes where he's not as effective. That's what I thought. I was wrong. All right. The Brian Jennings fight, I was surprised that Jennings, as tough as he is, was able to stand up to Wladimir, actually putting up the high guard and walking towards Wladimir. Wladimir was able to control that fight with his jab, and he was just scoring more points, and he was able to tie Jennings up on the inside. Another thing that I like to point to that people say, oh, well, you just can't say that because he's old. That's just not a good enough reason. It's like, okay, well, in your opinion, that's not a good enough reason. I understand that. But in my opinion, I don't think that's the only reason necessarily that I think these four guys can beat him. Yes, it has something to do with it, because as you get older, you get over 40, your stamina starts to decrease. You may still have good stamina, but your stamina starts to decrease. Yes, you are still strong. He still has strength, but there are going to be guys that he's not going to be able to overpower on the inside and grab them and wrap them and walk them backwards and put his weight down on those guys. This new wave, and the heavyweight division, every 3-4 years we have a new wave of guys, a new wave. And Vladimir's been able to dominate those different waves. When it went to Leopai and Pianata and Marius Wack and that wave, he dominated those guys. You know, earlier when Chris Bird and the Brewster rematch and Tony Thompson, that wave he dominated those guys. Pulev, Povetkin, Jennings, he was able to beat those guys. This wave, I'm not sure he beats those guys, but I'm going to get to everything technically, okay? So I'm just trying to build up to that because I have to cover a lot of things when I'm talking about Wladimir Klitschko. All right. The absence of Emmanuel Stewart. Now, I know what some of you are going to say. What are you talking about, Mr. Boxing? After, I believe, the last fight Emmanuel had with Klitschko was the second Thompson fight. I should have wrote this down. I believe it was the second Thompson fight. So since then, he's beaten Pianata, Marius Wack, Leopai, Pulev, Povetkin, Jennings. I understand that. I never said he can't win without Emmanuel Stewart. But one thing we have to keep in mind when we talk about the legendary Emmanuel Stewart, in my opinion, okay, this wasn't some damn pad holder, okay? He wasn't some spit bucket carrier, okay? This guy was not a trainer. He was a teacher of how to hit and not get hit and use your advantages. Break your opponent down psychologically. What's his weaknesses? What's his strengths? What does he do when he's in trouble? The way he talks, the way he walks. Emmanuel Stewart was a teacher, man. I'm going to leave two links in the description box of this video. One is a video of Emmanuel Stewart in 2012 talking about Klitschko, Wilder, Fury, David Price, and I believe it was Robert Helenius. And in that clip, Emmanuel Stewart was talking about just the attitude and just the hunger and a certain toughness. Now, mind you, this is 2012. And in that, he was talking about, I've had all these. Well, he pretty much said that he's had Fury, Vladimir, Helenius, and who's the other guy that I just mentioned? Vladimir, Fury, Helenius, and whatever the other guy was, I forgot, man. But he had all those guys at his home. And he was just saying, hey, man, there's a certain toughness that Tyson Fury has. If Tyson Fury can stabilize himself outside the ring, which is ironic that what he's going through right now, that he may be a future world champion. He also said he just doesn't see that same toughness in Helenius and the other guy that I'm fucking forgetting. I forgot. Who else did I just say, man? I forget. I'm doing this off the top. I have no notes. This is all just off the top, man. But the other guy that I mentioned, which I forgot, is killing me. But he was just saying that Vladimir and Fury have just a different toughness. Nothing about technical skills, but just a toughness about them. I mean, Malik Scott has skill, right? But he was talking about a certain toughness that these guys had that you can just see, right? Along with what they can bring to the ring physically and their technical ability inside the ring. At the very end of the video, he said, hold on, but there's one other guy that nobody's talking about. The big kid out of America named Deontay Wilder. This is 2012. He was saying, yeah, that kid, I think he got what it takes. This is 2012, y'all. Now, you may think, who gives a damn what Emmanuel Stewart think? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I hold what Emmanuel Stewart thinks to a very high regard, man. Not because he's American, not because of his boxing knowledge. When I hear him talk about fights, when I used to hear the things he used to say to Jermaine Taylor, when I used to watch him train him, the way he used to teach him, things he would say to Lennox in the corner, things he used to say to Tommy Hearns and all the other fighters that he trained when he was training Evander to beat Riddick Bowe's second fight. He's a teacher, man. He's not a spit bucket carrier, okay? He's not a guy just holding pads in the gym, X and O's type. He's just not him. He can do that, but he's a teacher. And when you take that away from somebody, it's hard to fill that hole, man. You just can't replace him with Jonathan Banks. Although Banks is a disciple of Emmanuel Stewart's, it's just not that easy. When Wladimir needed to be motivated in the corner, Emmanuel was there to do it. When he needed to be more aggressive or use his jab more, or he wasn't balanced, he wasn't using his balance, he wasn't keeping the proper technique and the glove placements and being calm and relaxed, Emmanuel would tell him those things. Jonathan Bank is trying. He's doing what he can do, man. He's going to be an excellent trainer. Teacher as he develops. Now, some people may say, well, all Wladimir has to do is just, well, only thing he would have to do in a rematch with Fury is just, be more active. Possibly. But from what I'm seeing, it was a little bit more than that. Fury wasn't there to just be hit. First of all, and I know a lot of you think it's just about technicalities, footwork, left hooks and glove placements and skill and balance. Yes, that has something to do with it. But it's also mental, though, man. We just can't take that out of the game. Like, that doesn't mean anything. And I'm going to get to the technical part. But we have to go through this first, though, man. There's a lot of shit to explain here. Boxing is more than just balance and what you just see in the ring on fight night. It's mental, man. Guys are not coming into the ring fearful of Wladimir Klitschko. At least Jennings came in there with a mindset of, he wasn't going to be scared or he's not intimidated at all. Some people are calling it borderline crazy. Not to say Pulev didn't come in there confident or Povetkin didn't come in there confident, but fucking Fury just blew it off the roof. I mean, he just blew the roof off. And we can argue that a lot of guys aren't going to be as confident as Tyson Fury. But it was the size that gave Wladimir problems. And some of you may say, oh, well, Marius Walk was big. Not just the size, in totality, but it was the size along with the mobility, along with the confidence. Vladimir's best weapon, let's get to some technical shit. Vladimir's best weapon, in my opinion, is his jab. He can control the pace. He can control the range. And he has just a dominant jab. He can flick it from the hip. He can keep it up with his gloves up and work double jabs. He can throw a left hook off the jab. And he can come with the right hand behind his jab. He has good balance, good footwork. One thing I noticed about Wladimir, and Wladimir would drop his shoulder sometimes and give you different looks and bend over and then shoot the jab down the middle of your, if you have the gloves up, he'll shoot him, Vlad knew how to work his punches. A lot of that was attributed to what Emmanuel taught him, in my opinion. But once you start to take away his jab, he becomes a different fighter. Fury was able to out jab him, not because he stood in front of him and said, okay, let's test our jabs out. That's what Pulev tried to do. He tried to have a fencing match with Wladimir. Wladimir changed the tempo up on him. He said, okay, let's fence. Boom, left hook. Boom, uppercut, right hand. He changed the tempo up on Pulev. Pulev was fighting at one pace. And he probably thought, okay, we can do this all night, fence each other with the jab. Then Wladimir got a little bit more aggressive. He became a little bit more sneaky. He started leaping in with left hooks. While Pulev was standing there flat-footed, just trying to fence with the jab and pulling back. Wladimir pulls back too. Sometimes he can go in a straight line. If you go in a straight line, what are you susceptible for? Straight right hands, straight left hands. Right? At least that's how I see it technically. Okay? Fury, like I said, was able to out-jab him and be mobile at the same time. And sometimes it was just the legs. He couldn't handle the mobility. He wasn't used to seeing this. And then when Wladimir got close and tried to do what he does best, which is clinch and use your weight as a big man and push it down, that's something that Stewart would teach guys. He would teach all his big guys to do that. Hey, don't get on the inside and try to brawl. Use your weight. Be the big guy in there. Tie him up. Walk him, turn him. I know a lot of people call it holding and clinching. It is. Some people feel as if that he did that in all of his fights for an advantage. That was his game plan. It probably was, but the thing is, that's just the game, man. That's how it goes. But Fury was not like the other guys. He wasn't like Povetkin. He wasn't being manhandled and thrown around and getting weight pushed down on him. Wladimir is so used to this at this stage without anybody telling him anything different, or at least him going in there and carrying out whatever his corner is telling him to do. He tried to put his arm around Fury's neck, and Fury was like taller than him. It's like, dude, you trying to still wrap Fury around the neck and push him down? And Fury wasn't going for it. And Fury was, laying some little, when guys clinch and they use the offhand to try to hit you in the body, they look like light hits when you're watching it, but he's still working his body a little bit. Fury just more active than him on the inside. Wladimir has shown he wants nothing to do with the inside game. He stands straight up. He's there to be exploited. Body work. If you're strong enough not to let him clinch you and manhandle you, you can get your punches off. So when I say a guy like Ortiz, Wilder, Joshua, and Fury can beat him, some people actually think Parker and these other guys. To me, I think those four in particular. And when I say they can beat him, I don't mean knock him out in the first round, 30-second blowout. No, of course. I mean, come on, man. I don't take it that far. But what I'm saying is a guy like Ortiz. Now, with Ortiz, his chin is questionable. Stamina, questionable. All that stuff's in question. Why? Because we haven't really seen him hurt or rattled, or how does he react to things, or how does he react to being tired as shit going into the 10th, 11th, 12th round. We haven't really seen none of that. So it's in question because we haven't really seen it. But this is a guy that has, it's like some of you guys, man, when I talk fights with you guys and fighters, when your favorite fighter has 400 amateur fights and a lofty professional record in the pros, he's this elite guy, right? Well, what about Ortiz? He wasn't getting walked down, and I thought the Jennings fight was a good fight, but that looked like a way different fight than when Wladimir fought him, Jennings, than when Ortiz did. I'm not trying to use the triangle theory here, but it looked way different. Tony Thompson, I know Wladimir beat him twice. Ortiz whooped his ass too. Ortiz on the inside, I think he's strong enough. He's a little bit shorter than Vlad. But with him being a little bit short, he's a powerhouse, man. Look at that dude's shoulders and his arms and his build. From the eye test, I don't think he's going to be manhandled like Povetkin was manhandled on the inside. I think Ortiz, with his southpaw stance, a little bit more craftier puncher on the inside with the uppercuts and the hooks. And if Wladimir does feel comfortable walking him down, he will have to keep leather on Ortiz. But if he tries to walk him down with just this little probing jab, and he's missing the right hand, or he's not accurate with his right hand that night, he will be countered over that probing jab. And if he misses the right hand, Ortiz is crafty enough to catch you and counter you. And he places his power shots well. I don't think he'll get into a slugfest with Wladimir, but I do think he will place some shots, and he will have Wladimir reluctant to just walk in on him. But I do believe if Ortiz tries to stay on the outside and tries to have a boxing match and try to match jab for jab, I think Wladimir will beat him in that department. I think he'll dominate him if they're just trying to use jabs. But Ortiz is another guy. He may not have the footwork of an Ali or Larry Holmes or something, but he's a trap setter, in my opinion. He sets traps. I'm not saying his back foot game is A+, but his back foot game as it pertains to walking you into certain shots. You don't always have to come forward to land big shots. You can step back, step off to the side. Give the guy, if you're a southpaw, give the guy your right shoulder, step over to the left. He may step with you, try to come in, boom, you can land the uppercut. his footwork, I think, is undervalued by fans. And fans sometimes, not all fans, but a lot of fans sometimes when they think of footwork, they think you're shuffling around the ring and moving. And no, Bernard Hopkins is another guy that had good footwork because he would walk you into certain areas of the ring, and he was just doing things that you didn't even know that he was even trying to do. But just watching it is so subtle, you can tell, okay, he's trying to walk him over there. You know what I mean? He's trying to walk him to the corner, or he's trying to get him to follow him into the corner and then turn and pivot on him, then get him in the corner. You know, just little things like that. I think Ortiz is capable, and I've seen him do those types of things. I've seen him do it to Jennings. When I say a guy like Deontay Wilder has a chance to beat Wladimir Klitschko, what I mean by that is, first let's say I understand that Deontay Wilder has flaws. He carries his hands low when he does the whole scoop back with his chin out in the air type of thing. It looks kind of, but what Deontay Wilder is getting better at, I don't think his balance is as good as Wladimir Klitschko's. I don't think that. I think Klitschko has a chance to back Vladimir has a chance to back Deontay Wilder into the ropes. And if Wilder goes at this just a high guard and he's standing tall, I can easily see Klitschko coming down the middle with a right hand when he backs Wilder into the ropes. But we can't be sitting here expecting just one shot to get it done. It could possibly happen. Okay, but if he throws a right hand, okay, what do you think? He's not going to get hit back? You think Wilder's not going to come out and try to hit him back? Wilder's getting a little bit better at pivoting with his lead foot. When he throws his left hook, he likes to check hook you, pivot off of it. He carries that left hand low. Wladimir Klitschko carries his jab hand low. So we're going to go, nick for knack about this and that. I mean, the glove placement. But fighters in history all do something that isn't technically correct. One thing I noticed, when I was watching Wilder hit the mitts a few weeks ago, that he was like hitting the mitts with his hands low and really not using the shoulder to protect his chin. I'm not saying fighting a shoulder roll position, but just he doesn't protect his chin enough, in my opinion. He protects it with his legs, because he's moving. But even when Fury was walking away from Vladimir, he would at least shield, like say he was walking off to his right, he would at least use his left shoulder to protect the left side of his chin as he was walking away. He wasn't just, every time just walking away with his hands down and his chin up. You know what I mean? Jab for jab at this point, Wilder has a long reach. He has a pretty decent jab. I don't think it's an all-time great jab at this point yet. I have to see him against more opposition and him dominate the better opposition with his jab to put him up there. But it's a decent jab, and he's very athletic. Wilder's doing a good job at this point in his career fighting from a distance. Sometimes he's not active enough, though. He's not active enough. The thing with Wilder, he has a good right hand to keep you at least honest. And I don't think Vladimir is going to be able to just walk him down and take the right hand. He may be able to slip it. Maybe Vladimir will be able to slip it and come over with his right or his left hook, his power punches. But I don't think that. I just don't see how he'll be able to just rough Wilder up and hold him and put his weight down on him. Those are things that Vladimir has became accustomed to, man. We just can't sweep that under the rug as if Vladimir doesn't jab. I mean, he'll do some type of offense. It's not just jab, grab. Sometimes it's jab, right hand grab, or jab, left hook off the jab, then grab you. Come on, you guys. We stop acting like he doesn't do that, man. Because if you're going to do that, we shouldn't even talk about this. We can't pretend like he is this awesome inside fighter when he's not. He doesn't even really like fighting from mid-range all that great unless he's in total control. Which is what he's supposed to be. It's not like it's Vladimir's fault that he's not making it a, quote, fair fight for guys. He's doing what he can do to win the fight, and I understand that. But There are some guys who can fight really good from mid-range and can fight on the inside, like Luis Ortiz. Wilder will mix it up, and he has that fight in him. I know you guys don't like hearing about those type of qualities. You just want to hear about technical skill. Okay, but he has that fight in him. He's not, his attitude is the attitude of, I'm not going to let you grab me, brother. We got to wrestle each other to the mat like he did with Stavern. Remember when him and Stavern got tangled up when after Wilder hurt him and he got tackled and Wilder was trying to get him off of him. Wilder can get really wild sometimes. That can get him in trouble. I could see him easily, you know, probably, let's say he may stun Klitschko with a big shot or something and get Klitschko to put his guards up. He may go back, you know, because he, you know, just got stunned. And I could see Wilder going crazy trying to get the finish. And I could see Wladimir coming out of that guard and boom, catching Wilder. So when I say that Wilder can beat him, I just think the athleticism, the youth, his own timing of his jab, not just the jab itself, watching and say, ooh, that jab is pretty, but the timing. If he can get his timing down, and Wilder's getting good at timing, guys. Yes, the technical flaws are still there, but good timing. I heard Antonio Tarver talk about when he was fighting Roy, and people kept talking about how fast Roy was and how power and, you know, their speed and power and the footwork and all. And Tarver said, okay, but I got timing. Now, I know Tarver's a little bit different beast because he would do some of, you know, he was technically tighter with his defense. And his balance and footwork better than Wilder's, in my opinion, when he was fighting Roy Jones. You know what I mean? But the timing. You can have all the flaws in the world, but if you got some good timing and a good chin and athletic and strong, you're going to be in the fight. Now, guys are telling me that I need to accept the fact that Wladimir Klitschko will be the favorite against everybody. Well, I'm not even sure that's a fact. Is it really a fact? Is it a fact that Wladimir Klitschko will be the favorite against Wilder? I'm not sure about that. Is that a fact? I was on Sky, what's it called? Sky Bets or Sky Sports Bets. This is website, man, where they you can see who's going to be the favorite of fights, even if the fight isn't even made, but they'll just have just odds up there for different fights. I went to the heavyweight division. They have Anthony Joshua a favorite against everybody. Wilder, Klitschko, Fury, anybody you can match him with, they have him as a favorite. They have the betting odds. Maybe I'll try to leave that link. Now, that doesn't mean anything. You know, you could be a favorite on fight night going to get knocked out. Wladimir has great technical skills, but there's some things that, you know, the hopping, sometimes he'll be like a hopper. He'll hop a little bit. Hop, 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 hop. Sometimes he'll hop back a little bit. When I mean hop, I'm not saying he fucking jumps in the air like Michael Jordan and hop back, but just a little leap back, leap back, leap back. You know, sometimes he doesn't slide. He just leaps. From what I've heard from trainers, great fighters usually glide around the ring. And Wladimir does it sometimes, but sometimes he'll get in his rhythm of you know, he'll leap in or leap back a little bit. And he can leap back in lines a little bit. Sometimes Wladimir doesn't pivot off and angle off or step out the side door. Sometimes it's just straight back. Or he'll stand on his feet and he'll lean back a little bit. Lean back. There's nothing wrong with it. But you're still there to be hit with something. Straight right hands. Wilder is great at throwing a straight right hand. Ortiz is very crafty with his punch combinations. Ortiz isn't your regular jab. Well, since he's southpaw, right jab, straight left hand, right hook to the body, left hook to the body. He doesn't throw those just normal plain Jane combinations, man. I've seen him lead with right uppercuts. I've seen him throw the right jab, double straight left hands, and then another right uppercut, and then a hook, a left hook to the body. I've seen him mix up his combinations. Step off. You know? This wave of heavyweights, in my opinion, is better than that other wave with the Pianadas and Leopold. It's just a better wave of talent, in my opinion. If you don't think so, that's fine. But do you think Pianada and Leopold and all those type of guys and Ruslan Chagayev, who was a good small heavyweight. The fight between Chagayev and Povetkin was a really good one, man. But you think those guys are more talented and more of a threat than this wave of guys versus this version of Wladimir Klitschko? Those are things that I look at. Now, if this video isn't technical enough for you, then I don't know what you want me to do, man. Like to me, I am breaking down the technical skills. Ortiz has great balance. I rarely see him off balance try to wing punches. Wilder can be off balance at times. What was it? I forgot what fight. Was it the Spilka fight? It was one of the. It was either I forget, man. But it was a fight where Wilder was trying to throw right hand. I think it was Spilka. He threw some right hands. I mean, he was way off balance. I mean, he threw the right hand so hard. When he threw the right hand, he got off balance to where his right foot carried him, and it turned into his lead foot. And then he took his right foot and put it back. And his left foot was his lead foot again. Then he threw that same punch again and got off balance again the same way. I think it was Spilka because Spilka was moving and showing Wilder different angles. But it was his legs. It was Spilka's legs and side-to-side movement and his glove placement, how his gloves was up and he was catching Wilder's jab and he was just moving side to side and stepping. Klitschko doesn't fight in that type of rhythm. Just like Spilka doesn't have the jab that Wladimir has. Vladimir's not going to do all that from the outside because, shit, he's a tall fighter. He's going to use his jab. He'll move a little bit, but he's not going to be moving around the ring like Spilka, how Spilka was against Wilder at least. Wladimir Klitschko is a great fighter, man. I don't get why some of you get so sensitive when I'm trying to just break down what I see. This is the first wave of heavyweights that I'm picking against this guy in fucking 10 years. And then some of you guys also like to forget, although this was a long time ago, okay, cool, but we can't act like it never happened. Like some of you act like this dude's never been knocked out before or hit the canvas multiple times. As if like that never happened. Yes, it was years ago, but it happened. So these guys know that, hey, man, you could be knocked out again, or I can put you down again, brother. It was fucking 30 years ago. Nobody's going to go in there and easily knock out Wladimir Klitschko in a round or two, I don't believe. So when I say that I think Joshua can knock him out violently, I think once they start mixing it up and Vladimir's trying to grab, and another thing that Vlad does is sometimes when he's trying to get it to clinch you, he'll throw the jab, he'll fall in with the clinch, or he'll throw the jab, and sometimes he'll keep it out there like he's trying to use his strength to keep you at bay with his left arm and then grab you real quick. I don't think he's going to be strong enough to do that to these guys, man. That reach of trying to keep your arm out there, people are going to be able to come over the top of that. Guy told me that the only person you can really favor over Wladimir is a motivated Tyson Fury. I beg to differ, man. If this isn't technical enough or I didn't break it down for you enough, then like I said, fair enough, man. But those are things that I see. Will Wladimir be able to control the tempo against some of these guys? Will he be able to fight as calm and relaxed against some of these guys? Will his glove placement be the same? Will his technique and balance hold up when the rhythm is changed? When he's getting hit continuously? The jab nowadays against these new guys, in my opinion, isn't enough. There were some fights where Wladimir was literally winning the fight just based on his jab, and I thought that's beautiful. I myself, I'm 6'5", 240, so I can, I like the heavyweights and I can understand some of the movements and what guys can and cannot do. That's why I think Vitali is high on my list because he's able to move. This motherfucker 6'7", was 6'7", 250 moving around the ring. Nobody's saying that somebody's going to come in here and do the old Corey Sanders to Wladimir Klitschko. Oh, would you guys forget about that one? I like Vladimir, man. I respect Wladimir Klitschko. I respect the Klitschko brothers. I'm one heavyweight fan. I'm one American heavyweight fan that can clearly say that I didn't stop watching the division because the Klitschkos were running it. I can clearly say I never stopped watching the division. I appreciated those guys. Some of you need to stop being so sensitive, man, when somebody just believes that Wladimir Klitschko can lose a fight. If you think Ortiz can lose a fight, okay. If you think Wilder is a bum or chinny or whatever a lot of you guys say, okay. If you think Joshua is stiff and he's chinny and he's a bum, okay. If you think Fury, okay, I don't care. But some of you take this shit to heart, man. Like you and Vladimir are like cousins or something, or is this like your father or something, man? The guy has some limitations. As great as he is, he has some limitations. All the great fighters have some type of breaking point, don't they? Or are you just a believer and this guy's going to just reign supreme until he's 67 years old? If he beats all these guys and I'll come in here, I'll be the first one to say, man, I got it wrong. You know, but I just didn't believe in that, you know, had him and Fury fought in a rematch that he's just going to make an adjustment. When has Vladimir really made adjustments like that? How is he going to adjust to the footwork, to the movement and the mobility and the size? Is he going to not grab anymore? Now, maybe he will, but I just don't get how that muscle memory would just be erased on fight night. You know, I'm not going to grab anymore. Like, really? Really? He's not going to grab anymore? He's just going to be this awesome inside fighter? He's just going to change overnight? The guy's fucking 40. He's great, but he has limitations, man. I'm out.